I believe that any mistake is a valuable recipe. When I was 25, I made so many mistakes that I sometimes wondered if I would ever do anything right. I failed my university exams 3 times. Believe me, I was rejected from more than 30 jobs, including KFC. But I've never regretted those failures. In fact, each one taught me something new, something that helped me become the person and entrepreneur I am today. That's what I tell every young person. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, because every mistake is your teacher. Especially in the early years of your career, it's essential to experiment and dare. The sooner you fail, the faster you learn and the stronger you become. And you know, when you go through these difficulties, you realize that success doesn't come without obstacles. It's like I always say, success is built on the mistakes you overcome. There's no easy path, but every stumble that you value as a learning experience is a step closer to your goal. I clearly remember each of the rejections I faced. They left their mark, but they never stopped me. When I look back, I realize that this is exactly what made me stronger. Making mistakes didn't make me retreat. On the contrary, it made me move forward with greater determination. With every no I received, I gained more confidence that something greater was waiting for me. What kept me going was the certainty that if I didn't persist, who else would? If you're just starting out, remember that failures are not the end of the line, but the beginning of something new. What differentiates people who dream from those who achieve is how they deal with their mistakes. So every time you make a mistake, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Because it is in the midst of challenges that you will discover your true strength. Every mistake you value is a stepping stone towards success. When I was young, I didn't know much about business. In fact, what drove me was curiosity and the desire to learn. But one thing I realized early on is that the leader you follow makes all the difference in your career. I didn't choose my first opportunities because of the name of the company, but because of the leaders I admired. I've always believed that more important than the company you work for is the boss you follow. I learned so much from my first mentors that it shaped my vision of the future and innovation. Working with people who share your dreams is one of the greatest blessings you can have in your career. A good leader is not just one who commands, but one who inspires. They challenge you to think outside the box, ask questions, and reinvent yourself. This is what I found in my first mentors. People who showed me that the future belongs to those who dare to dream and work hard. And that made me understand that it's not just about what you do, but about how you grow alongside someone who believes in you. I remember thinking several times, if not now, when? If not me, who? It's this kind of mentality that a good leader instills in you, pushing you to be the best version of yourself. Following a quality leader isn't just about learning to be a good professional, it's about becoming a better person. This goes beyond technical skills. It's about developing resilience, vision, and above all, the will to make a difference. You can be sure, the lessons you learn alongside a good leader are the ones you take with you for the rest of your life. It was these lessons that helped me form my own vision of leadership based on inspiration rather than command. The leader who challenges you to leave your comfort zone is the same one who prepares you to build something bigger in the future. That's the real strength of quality leadership. So if you're at the beginning of your journey, don't worry so much about the name of the company you're in. Ask yourself, am I being inspired by the leader I follow? Because it is this inspiration that will shape the professional and, more importantly, the human being that you will become. If you're under 30, my advice is simple. Follow your intuition and explore new paths. When I was young, I didn't know much about technology, but I sensed that the internet had enormous potential. It was this intuition that led me to start something that nobody else saw at the time. The uncertainties you face today will be the stories that tell your success story tomorrow. When you take risks while you're young, the possibilities are endless. Youth is the perfect time to experiment, try new things, and dare. When I started out, everyone thought I was crazy for believing that the internet could be so big. But I believed in my vision, and that's exactly what you should do. Don't limit yourself by other people's expectations. If you have a dream, pursue it with everything you've got, even if no one else believes in it. After all, entrepreneurs must have vision and dreams. Without that, they're just sailing aimlessly. It's interesting to realize that when you're young, the risks are smaller than they seem. I've always known that failures are part of the journey, so why not take a chance? That's the beauty of being a young entrepreneur. The world is open to your ideas, and if you make a mistake, you still have time to get up and try again. The most important thing is not to be afraid to take the first step, because as I always say, if everything is ready, it's too late. When I reached my 40s, I realized it was time to focus on what I really knew how to do well. But before that, I needed to explore, experiment, and discover where my true abilities lay. This process of discovery only happens when you allow yourself to make mistakes and learn. So, while you're young, don't waste the opportunity to discover new talents, new passions, and perhaps even a new purpose. Remember, youth passes quickly, but the lessons you learn from taking risks and following your intuition will stay with you forever. Don't wait for the right moment to come along. Make your moment happen. After all, when you're young and have a dream, as I often say, you never really feel poor. You have the wealth of vision and energy, and that's worth more than anything else. When I reached 40, I realized it was time to focus on what I was really good at. During my younger years, I took risks, tried new things, made a lot of mistakes, and learned from every one of them. But at 40, the game changed. I knew I needed to consolidate my strengths and focus on what made me stand out. Entrepreneurship isn't just about dreaming. It's about knowing where to put your energy to get the best results. So, at this stage of life, it's crucial to identify your best skills and work on them. I always say that innovation doesn't mean radically changing what you do, but rather improving what you already do well. People often think that innovation is about doing something totally different. But in fact, true innovation can lie in how you improve on what you've already mastered. That's what I did at Alibaba. We didn't start with a revolutionary idea, but with something simple that became bigger as we perfected our operations and strategies. At 40, you should avoid big risks and instead focus on expanding what you already do best. In my case, I realized that our greatest asset was helping small businesses grow, and that was the focus I put all my attention on. If you want to keep growing at this stage of life, you don't have to change everything, but refine and strengthen the skills you already have. If you want to catch the rabbit, as I often say, don't change the rabbit, change yourself. This phase was also the time when I understood the importance of delegating. I had already learned a lot, but I couldn't do everything on my own. Focusing on your strengths also means knowing what you're not so good at and letting others who have complementary skills help take the business forward. A good entrepreneur is not one who tries to do everything, but one who knows where to put their energy and how to empower their team to do the rest. If you're in your 40s, focus on what you do best. Don't get scattered with new ideas that could take you away from your true strength. As you mature as an entrepreneur, clarity of purpose and a focus on your best skills are what will really drive your success forward. When I reached 50, I realized it was time to start looking at the next generation. Over the years, I've built a successful career and company, but I've understood that the future doesn't belong to me, but to the young people who come after. They have energy, new ideas, a different way of looking at the world. As leaders, it's our duty to give them the tools and support they need to innovate even more than we did. Entrepreneurs must have vision and dreams, and part of that vision is investing in the future. I've always believed that real innovation happens when you invest in people. When I empowered my team at Alibaba, we saw our growth explode. And that's what we must do with young people. They need guidance, but also the freedom to experiment, make mistakes, and learn from them. In the end, they are the ones who will lead tomorrow's changes. My role now is to guide them through this process, sharing the experience I have gained and allowing them to create their own path. Whenever I see young entrepreneurs, I feel an immediate connection. I see in them the same ambition I had when I started. What motivates me today is helping these young people realize their potential. I believe that by investing in them, we are building a better future for everyone. They bring new energy and new solutions to problems that we, the previous generation, often can't solve. That's what keeps me optimistic about the future. It's funny, but sometimes I'm asked why I invest so much time in young people when I could be enjoying the success I've already built. The answer is simple. It's our duty as leaders to pass the baton on. If we don't, who will? This is how we ensure that the legacy of innovation and progress continues. For me, investing in young people is like planting seeds for a more prosperous tomorrow. So, if you've reached this stage of life, invest in the next generation. Don't keep your knowledge and experience to yourself. Share, teach, and inspire. When you empower young people, you are guaranteeing a future of great achievement, both for them and for you. And remember, when young people have a dream, they don't feel poor because they carry with them the fuel needed to turn that dream into reality. I failed many times. I failed my university exams 3 times. I was rejected from 30 jobs, including KFC. But I never let those failures define me. Each of those rejections only motivated me to keep trying. I knew that somewhere there was something bigger waiting for me, and the only way to find it was to persist. Persistence is one of the most important qualities for any entrepreneur. If you believe in your vision, keep working at it, even when others say it's impossible. You can't give up just because you face difficulties. If I had given up after the first few rejections, I wouldn't have founded Alibaba. The journey is never easy, but it is in persistence that you find the strength to overcome the biggest challenges. Every time you face a barrier and keep going, you get closer to your goal. It's like I say, if you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit, change yourself. What needs to change is your approach, your mindset, not your dreams. When I started Alibaba, we spent 3 years without a profit. Many people called me crazy, said the business model was a failure, but I knew that if we kept going, something good would come along. It was persistence that kept us going during those difficult years. I believed in the dream, and I kept working towards it, even when it seemed impossible. Success only comes to those who don't give up, no matter how long the journey. What kept me persistent was the certainty that difficulties are temporary, but what you build with persistence can last forever. Many people have good ideas, but let fear and difficulties stop them from being realized. What makes the difference is the ability to keep going even when everything seems to be against you. If you have a vision, believe in it and keep going. Because as I often say, if everything is ready, it's too late. Don't wait for perfection. Persevere and keep moving forward. So if you're facing challenges right now, remember that the key is not to give up. It doesn't matter how many times you fall. The important thing is how many times you get up. Believe in yourself and keep moving forward because success always awaits those who persist. When I started Alibaba, everyone thought I was crazy. The internet in China was something completely new, and few people believed in its potential. I spent 3 years without making a penny, but I never gave up. I believed in the dream, even when no one else did. If you have an idea, go for it, even when others say it's impossible. Success comes to those who persist, to those who have the courage to keep going, even when the path is uncertain. I say this because I know how difficult it is to keep the faith when things aren't going well. There were many moments when it felt like we were at a dead end, but I knew that if we kept going, something good would come. Many people give up because the path is difficult, but what differentiates those who achieve from those who only dream is the persistence to keep going despite everything. When you truly believe in what you're doing, there's no obstacle big enough to stop you. Alibaba was built on this unwavering belief in the dream. It took years of hard work, mistakes, and financial difficulties, but the vision was always there. I always believed that the internet would change China, and I was willing to do whatever it took to make that dream a reality. What I want to say to you is, no matter how difficult it is, keep believing in your dream. As I often say, if you have a dream, you never feel poor. The dream is what keeps you rich in spirit, even in the most challenging times. Often, what separates success from failure is just the determination to keep going when others have already given up. In the beginning, no one believed in Alibaba, but I kept the vision. If you truly believe in your idea, it doesn't matter what anyone says. Your job is to keep going. The world will always try to make you give up, but those who succeed are the ones who keep going, even when it seems impossible. So if you're in the middle of a challenge right now, I say to you, don't give up. Follow your dream, keep persisting. Believe in yourself, because success comes to those who never give up. And when you reach your goal, you'll realize that every difficulty you faced was worth it. When we started Alibaba, we didn't have much money. In fact, our capital was very limited. But what we did have was a dedicated team, a group of people who believed in the same vision. That was our greatest asset. I learned very early on that if you have a united team with a shared vision, you can overcome any challenge. The power of teamwork is the secret behind every great enterprise. No true success is built alone. In the beginning, it wasn't easy. There were many days of uncertainty and difficulty, but we stuck together. The team was our most valuable asset. We didn't have resources, but we had passion, commitment, and most importantly, trust in each other. I believe that when you have a group of people who share the same vision, that group becomes unstoppable. What kept us moving forward was this collective belief that we were building something bigger than ourselves. It was with this team spirit that we overcame challenges that seemed impossible. And the most interesting thing is that at the time, nobody believed we could succeed. We were small, inexperienced, and the market was extremely competitive. But we had something that couldn't be bought: the unity of a team that was willing to do whatever it took to make the dream come true. As I always say, a united team can achieve anything. If you want to build something big, you need a team that believes in the dream as much as you do. And as a leader, your role is to inspire, guide, and above all, trust those who are by your side. I couldn't have built Alibaba without my team. Each member was essential to the company's success, and this is something that all entrepreneurs need to understand. No one does anything great alone. The real strength is in the team. So if you're in a leadership position or building something new, invest in the people around you. Find those who share your vision, who believe in what you believe in, and work together to achieve your goals. The strength of a team is incomparable. And remember, true success is a collective effort. And when everyone is focused on the same mission, there are no limits to what you can achieve. One of the reasons e-commerce grew so quickly in China was precisely because our commercial infrastructure was weak. Where many saw a barrier, I saw an opportunity. We turned this weakness into a strength, creating solutions that adapted to the difficult environment we were in. When there is adversity, there is also a great chance for innovation. I've always believed that problems are the seeds of the best ideas. During Alibaba's early years, we faced countless difficulties. and it often seemed impossible to move forward. But it was precisely in these moments that we found the best opportunities for innovation. When you come up against obstacles, you have two options. You can let yourself be paralyzed, or you can look for ways to overcome them. I chose the second option, and that's what I encourage everyone to do. When something doesn't work as it should, that's when great innovations are born. If you're dealing with a problem right now, ask yourself, how can I turn this difficulty into an opportunity? That's how we started at Alibaba. Our infrastructure was precarious, resources were limited, but we used these disadvantages to create something totally new. Many of our greatest advances came about because we were forced to think differently. Innovation isn't just about creating something from scratch. It's about solving problems in a way that no one has thought of before. The truth is that the greater the challenges, the greater the chance of standing out. When everyone else is complaining, that's when you can step in and make a difference. This reminds me of something I often say: where there's complaint, there's opportunity. Adversity forces us to be creative, to find innovative solutions, and that's exactly what moves the business world forward. So the next time you face an obstacle, remember that it could be your greatest opportunity to shine. So if you're going through a difficult time, don't see it as a sign of failure, but rather as an opportunity to reinvent yourself. Innovation is not born out of comfort. It is born out of difficulty. If you know how to turn obstacles into opportunities, success is guaranteed. Whenever there's a problem, there's a chance to innovate and change the game. From an early age, I knew that education would be the pillar of my success. I'm not just talking about formal education, although that's important too, but continuous education. Even after so many failures and rejections, I never stopped learning. I believe that the future is in the hands of those who constantly seek to acquire new knowledge. The key to success, innovation, and personal growth is to keep learning every day. When I founded Alibaba, I knew nothing about technology or e-commerce, but that didn't stop me. Instead of focusing on what I didn't know, I dedicated myself to learning. I read, watched, listened to more experienced people, and absorbed everything I could. It's not just about going to school. It's about learning from life, from mistakes, from others around you. That's what makes the difference between those who stand out and those who are left behind. If you want to succeed in the business world or in any area of life, you have to commit to learning continuously. What you know today may not be enough to face tomorrow's challenges. As I often say, if you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit, change yourself. And the best way to change yourself is through constant learning. The world is changing fast, and those who don't adapt will be left behind. Furthermore, I believe that education is not something you do just for yourself. When you learn, you also have the opportunity to share that knowledge with others. That's what I did at Alibaba. I've always encouraged my employees to learn, to develop. I believe that a company can only grow as much as the people within it grow. If you invest in education, you're investing in the future. So never underestimate the power of learning. Keep studying, keep evolving. Education is what will open doors you didn't even know existed. And remember, the knowledge you acquire today is what will prepare you for tomorrow's opportunities. Don't stop learning, because true success comes to those who never stop looking for the next level of growth. When I started Alibaba, many people told me that the business model was terrible. Some thought I was wasting my time. Others simply didn't understand what I was trying to build. However, I never took this criticism personally. On the contrary, I always saw criticism as an opportunity to improve. Every time someone criticized my work or my idea, I used it as fuel to further improve the business. I firmly believe that criticism is one of the greatest sources of learning. They show us where we might be failing and give us the chance to correct course before it's too late. Instead of feeling demotivated, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? For me, this is how I managed to turn a lot of negative feedback into something positive. I always say that where there's complaint, there's opportunity. And the criticism I received at the beginning of Alibaba was essential to refining our strategy. Instead of fighting criticism, learn to use it to your advantage. This doesn't mean that you have to accept everything they say, but rather know how to listen and identify what can be useful. In the beginning, many people called me crazy for believing in the potential of the internet in China. But I knew that those criticisms came from people who couldn't yet see what I saw. And I used that to keep improving my model, tweaking it until we were ready to grow. I also learned that the more successful you are, the more criticism you will receive. And that's a good thing. The more people talk, the more they're paying attention to what you're doing. That means you're attracting the attention of the market. So instead of trying to silence criticism, embrace it. They could be the key to your next big step. If you know how to turn criticism into opportunities, there are no limits to what you can achieve. So the next time someone criticizes your work, remember that it could be what you need to achieve success. Listen, learn and adjust as necessary. Criticism shouldn't be seen as barriers, but as stepping stones that will take you to the top. Use them to strengthen your strategy, and you'll see that each one has the potential to be an opportunity in disguise. I always say that where there's a complaint, there's an opportunity. That may sound like a simple idea, but it's incredibly powerful. People complain because something isn't working, and this is your chance to make a difference. When we started Alibaba, many people complained about how difficult it was for small businesses in China to access larger markets. This complaint was the starting point for us to create our e-commerce platform. We listened to what people were saying and turned those complaints into solutions. When you pay attention to the complaints around you, you are identifying real problems that need solving. People often ignore complaints because they think they're just part of life, but as an entrepreneur, you should look at it with different eyes. Every complaint is a clear indication that something is not working as it should, and this represents an opportunity to innovate. The greatest businesses in the world have emerged from this realization. I realized that if people were complaining about something, it meant that there was an unmet need. And that's where the entrepreneurial spirit comes in, turning problems into opportunities. That's exactly what we did at Alibaba. We listened to the complaints of small businesses and created a platform that met their needs. The result was an extraordinary success. And the most interesting thing is that the more complaints you solve, the more opportunities arise. If you're trying to identify a new business opportunity, start by paying attention to the areas where people are most dissatisfied. Instead of avoiding these situations, approach them. What can you do to solve that problem? Innovation is not born from comfort, but from difficulties. If everyone is happy, you don't have much room to create something new. But where people are complaining, that's where you can find your next great project. So whenever you hear a complaint, see it as a warning sign. Ask yourself, how can I turn this dissatisfaction into a solution? The best opportunities are born out of the biggest complaints. And remember, while people are complaining, you could be creating something that will revolutionize the market. Case, I'm an optimist. From the beginning of my journey, I always believed that something good was waiting for me, even in the most difficult times. When I failed exams, got rejected for jobs, or faced challenges at Alibaba, I held on to the belief that the best was yet to come. Optimism is what keeps us going, even when the obstacles seem insurmountable. It's not about ignoring problems, but believing that we are capable of overcoming them. In many situations, optimism is what has given me the strength to keep going. When I started Alibaba, I spent 3 years without a profit and heard countless criticisms. The difficulties were enormous, but my optimistic vision that the internet would change China never wavered. I always looked to the future with hope and determination. Optimism is not a passive feeling, it's an active force that drives you to act, to persist, and to believe that if you keep working hard, things will get better. The truth is that optimism is essential for any entrepreneur. You'll face challenges that seem impossible. You'll hear a lot of no's, but it's optimism that will help you keep going. When others give up, you'll keep going because you believe that success is just around the corner. I've always believed that even when everything seemed against me, there was something greater waiting for me. It's this mentality that separates those who achieve success from those who give up halfway through. I remember thinking many times, if not now, when? If not me, who? This kind of thinking kept me optimistic in times of uncertainty. Because optimism isn't about closing your eyes to reality, but rather seeing the opportunities hidden in the problems. If you believe that things can get better, you'll work for it. And in the end, optimism always wins. So, if you're facing a difficult time, remember, optimism is what keeps you going. Believe that something good is coming, and keep fighting for your dreams. When you maintain a positive outlook, even in the worst situations, you end up creating the conditions for success. The future belongs to the optimists, because they are the ones who never stop trying. When I decided to become an entrepreneur, it wasn't just to create a business for myself. I chose to work for myself, but also to work for society. True success, for me, comes when you create something that benefits other people. That's what has driven Alibaba from the start. Our goal has always been to serve small businesses, to help them grow and prosper. Entrepreneurship is, above all, about service. And the more people you impact positively, the greater your success. I believe that if you want to build something lasting, you need to have a greater purpose. At Alibaba, we knew that we weren't just creating an e-commerce platform. We were creating opportunities for millions of small entrepreneurs across China. This sense of mission is what guided us through the toughest times. And that's why I always say that if you make your customers happy, you're on the right track. Entrepreneurship is about serving others, not just making money. An entrepreneur's success is not only measured by financial growth, but by the value they create for others. When you start thinking about how you can help other people, your company naturally becomes stronger. At Alibaba, our vision was simple. If we help our customers grow, we grow together. And this approach has proved extremely effective. Creating value for others is the foundation of any thriving business. I remember many moments when, even when things seemed to be going wrong, what kept us focused was the certainty that we were doing something bigger than ourselves. We weren't just building a company, we were helping to transform the lives of millions of people. That's why I say that entrepreneurship is service. When you put the needs of others first, success comes naturally. So if you want to be a great entrepreneur, ask yourself, how can I better serve my customers, my community, and the world around me? True success comes when you positively impact people's lives. And in the end, that's what makes the difference between a business that just survives and a business that truly thrives. I firmly believe that success only happens when you create value for others. When we founded Alibaba, our focus was never on how we would become a big company. The goal has always been to help small businesses grow and connect with the world. That was our purpose from the start, and it's what has led us to success. When you focus on creating real value for your customers and partners, financial results come naturally. Creating value means thinking beyond profit. At Alibaba, we have always believed that if our customers were satisfied and growing, we would thrive too. This has created a relationship of mutual trust where everyone wins. Many entrepreneurs make the mistake of focusing only on financial return, but forget that true success comes when you solve other people's problems. When you become indispensable to your customers, they will never leave you. I always encourage entrepreneurs to ask themselves, how can I help my customers succeed? At the end of the day, that's the most important question. If you can create value for the people around you, whether through an innovative product, an excellent service, or a memorable experience, you'll be building the foundations of a business that will last. That's how we built Alibaba. Our mission has always been to empower small entrepreneurs, and this has been reflected in our growth. The true strength of a business lies in its ability to impact lives, and that impact comes from the value you deliver. If you want to build something lasting, you can't just think about how you're going to make a profit. You need to focus on how you're going to improve your customers' lives. That's the kind of thinking that leads to sustainable success. I remember many times when, instead of worrying about our bottom line, we were more focused on how we could help our partners achieve their goals. So if you're building a business or have an idea in mind, focus on creating value. Ask yourself, what can I do to improve the lives of the people who use my product or service? When you put the needs of others first, success comes as a natural consequence. And that's the basis of any prosperous, long-lasting business. One thing I've learned along my journey is that fear is one of the biggest barriers to success. Many people have great ideas, but let the fear of failure paralyze them. My advice is simple. Start before you're ready. If you wait for the perfect moment, it will never come. In the beginning, I was afraid too. When I founded Alibaba, the internet was still a new concept in China, and many thought I was making a big mistake. But I knew that if I let fear stop me, I would never discover what I could achieve. Fear is natural. We all feel it at some point. But what separates those who achieve from those who only dream is the courage to act, even when afraid. If I had let fear stop me, Alibaba would never have existed. There were many moments of uncertainty, but I always knew that the risk of not trying was much greater than the risk of failing. Success comes to those who keep moving forward, even when the path seems full of obstacles. I always say that if everything is ready, it's already too late. Opportunities don't wait for you to be fully prepared. They arise when you're on the move, when you're learning along the way. So if you have an idea, don't let fear paralyze you. Start now, even if you don't have all the answers yet. Believe me, you'll learn and adjust as you go. Fear never disappears completely, but it diminishes as you take action. I've been rejected from many jobs and faced many difficulties, but I've never let the fear of failure stop me from trying again. The life of an entrepreneur is full of uncertainties, and the only way to win is to keep trying, regardless of the risks. Fear is what keeps many people stagnant, but the courage to act is what differentiates those who succeed from those who remain trapped in their own limitations. So no matter what your goal is, remember, fear is a temporary emotion, but the opportunities you miss by not acting can last forever. The key to success is to start before you're ready and learn along the way. Don't wait until everything is perfect. Start now and perfect yourself as you go along.